You are not born racist, but one day, you might find yourself thinking in ways you never consciously chose. It doesn't happen loudly. It doesn't arrive with a warning. It happens slowly. So slowly that you don't even notice the shift. At first, it's just a small reaction. You see someone different, and for a split second, you hesitate. Then you quickly justify it. I'm just being careful. I'm just being realistic. And right there, something begins. The human brain loves simplicity. It's wired to organize the world into categories. It does this with objects, ideas, and people. Those who look like you, speak like you, live like you, they feel familiar, safe. But those who seem different, your brain quietly marks them as uncertain, not necessarily dangerous, but not fully safe either. This isn't something you consciously decide. It's automatic. And the scary part is, this automatic process is constantly being shaped by your environment. From childhood, you absorb signals, sometimes directly through words, other times indirectly through tone, jokes, media, or silence. You start noticing patterns. Who is shown as successful, who is shown as dangerous, who is respected, and who is feared. Over time, your brain connects dots that were never meant to be connected. And slowly, those connections begin to feel like truth. That's the illusion. You think you are forming your own opinions, but much of it has already been planted in your mind. The most unsettling part? You don't feel wrong. In fact, you often feel logical. You label your thoughts as common sense. And once something feels like common sense, you stop questioning it. That's how bias hides itself. Not as hate, but as reasoning. Not as anger, but as quiet assumptions. It begins with small thoughts. A look, a doubt, a passing comment. And over time, those small thoughts grow roots. They settle deep into your perception. You begin to see the world through a lens you didn't even realize you were wearing. And while you believe you're being neutral, your thinking has already started to lean in a direction. The most dangerous part is not that this happens. The most dangerous part is that it happens invisibly. You feel in control, while something deeper is shaping you from the inside. Now imagine this. You walk into a place where almost everyone is different from you. Their language, their appearance, their behavior, it all feels unfamiliar. Instantly, your brain begins to compare. These people are different. It sounds harmless. But hidden inside that sentence is something deeper. The brain often interprets difference as potential threat. This comes from ancient survival instincts. Long ago, unfamiliar groups could mean danger, so the brain evolved to stay alert around anything unknown. But in today's world, that same system misfires. There is no real threat. Yet your brain still activates caution. That caution creates distance. You interact less. You observe more. And when interaction is low, imagination takes over. You start filling in the gaps with assumptions. They must be like this. People like them usually act this way. These are not facts. They are guesses. But the brain treats repeated guesses like reality. And then something interesting happens. You begin to notice only the things that confirm your assumptions. If one person behaves negatively, you connect it to the entire group. If 10 others behave differently, you ignore it. This is how confirmation bias works. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as your mind expects it to be. Over time, your thinking becomes more rigid. New information doesn't change your belief. It gets filtered. Accepted if it agrees. Rejected if it challenges. Your world slowly becomes smaller, more predictable, but also more distorted. You feel like you understand people better. But in reality, you're just repeating the same mental patterns again and again. And this is where the shift becomes real. You move from being neutral to being biased. Not through a single decision, but through a series of unnoticed thoughts, each one small, each one seemingly harmless. But together they reshape how you see others. And once that lens is in place, everything you see passes through it. That's why bias feels so convincing. It doesn't feel like an opinion. It feels like reality. Then comes another powerful force, ego. Humans don't just want to feel safe. They want to feel important, valued, even superior. This need is often silent, but incredibly strong. And one of the easiest ways to satisfy it is through comparison. You lift your group up, and without realizing it, push others down. It doesn't always sound harsh. Sometimes it's subtle. We are more disciplined. We have better values. We work harder. These statements may seem harmless, but they create an invisible hierarchy, a ranking system in your mind. Once that hierarchy is formed, your behavior begins to follow it. You give respect selectively. You show empathy selectively. People in your group feel more human to you. Their struggles matter more. Their stories feel more real. But those outside your group, they become distant, abstract, easier to judge. This emotional gap is what strengthens prejudice. Because when you don't fully connect with someone's humanity, it becomes easier to treat them unfairly. History has shown this again and again. When societies label one group as superior and another as inferior, ordinary people begin to accept it. Not because they are evil, but because it becomes normal. And when something becomes normal, it stops being questioned. People don't wake up thinking they will do something wrong. They believe they are following what is right. They justify their actions through culture, tradition, or survival, and that's what makes it dangerous. The most harmful actions are often carried out by people who believe they are doing the right thing, not out of hatred, but out of certainty. And once someone is certain, they stop listening. They stop reflecting. They stop seeing other perspectives. Their belief becomes their identity, and anything that challenges it feels like a threat. But this is not where the story ends, because the same mind that learns bias can also unlearn it. The brain is not fixed. It is flexible. It changes with experience. When you begin to spend time with people who are different from you, something shifts. At first, it feels uncomfortable, but slowly, familiarity replaces fear. You start hearing real stories instead of imagined ones. You see individuals instead of categories. And that's when the stereotypes begin to break. The more you interact, the more your brain updates its understanding. What once felt different starts to feel normal. What once triggered caution now feels relatable. This is how change begins, not through force, but through exposure and awareness. You start noticing your own thoughts. When a biased idea appears, you don't accept it instantly. You pause. You question it. That pause is powerful, because awareness creates choice, and choice creates change. The biggest danger was never hatred alone. It was unconscious bias, the kind you don't even realize you carry. Because if you don't see it, you can't change it. But once you become aware, everything shifts. You begin to take responsibility for your thinking. You decide whether to repeat what you've been taught or to challenge it. And that's where real transformation happens. The truth is, racism is not just about bad people. It's about human tendencies that exist in all of us. The difference is not who has bias, but who is willing to confront it. Because the most dangerous person is not the one who openly hates, but the one who quietly believes their bias is the truth.